Commissioner Sweet, we are live and ready when you are.
So I'd like to go ahead and call the Seldovia Planning Commission to order. And we'll do a roll call vote. Kroll. Here. Ryan. Here. Sweet. Here. Forsberg. Here. Thank you. The next item is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I can second that.
The motion, all in favor? Or, sorry.
A roll call vote. Would you like me to call that for you?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead and, I'm sorry. Roll. Ron,
Yes,
Sweet, yes. Forsberg,
Yes,
thank you. Agenda has been approved. The next item is approval of minutes from April 5th. And could I get a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I can second that.
And then going ahead and calling the roll, Mr. Kroll.
Yep.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes,
Sweet, yes. Commissioner Forsberg,
Yes,
the minutes have been approved. Are there any public comments regarding items not on the agenda? Anybody online?
no, we have no one online, Commissioner Sweet.
So, no comments. Public hearing prior notice, I don't believe. Do we have any? No.
No, we have no public hearings for prior notice and no site plan.
Consideration of site plans. The next item is commission business, annual appointment of chair and vice chair of the commission. Do you want to give us some information?
Sure, through the chair. We are by code, and it's been included in the laydown in Title 18 to have the commission appoint its chair and vice chair at the beginning of the year. We did not do this at the last meeting because we did not have a full commission. So it is up to you guys to nominate an appointment for chair and vice chair. And those would be roll call votes also.
Request for nominations from chair.
Yeah, do a request for. Yes. You could do it as a ticket if you wanted.
I'm
That's
sorry.
you could do it chair and vice chair as a ticket if you wanted.
So could we have nominations for chair and vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Randy Sweet for chair, and I can nominate myself for vice chair, Roger.
No.
Oh, no. I figured.
Any other nominations? So I guess the slate of officers would be Sweet and Ryan, chair and vice chair respectively.
Would you like me to call the roll? Oh, yeah. Do we have any public comment? And did the commission want to have any discussion on the?
I guess the only discussion I'd say is that we really should have more members in total. That would be a good thing to keep striving for. So if anybody's here that would like to participate on a more regular basis, I'd encourage that.
So we'll go ahead and vote on the slate of officers.
Okay, so we have for nomination Commissioner Sweet for chair and Commissioner Ryan for vice chair. I'll go ahead and call the roll. Commissioner Kroll,
Yes.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sweet,
Yes.
and Commissioner Forsberg.
Yes.
Thank you. So the next item is an ordinance 23 XX on an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, amending the Seldovia Municipal Code Title 18, Section 18.04.020, terms of the commission. Well, we have a presentation by the staff, so I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you to the chair. This came about recently in the city office that we do not have a method for or a portion of code that speaks to the vacation of a seat on the commission. And we have some examples that have been placed in the packet for members to review, but this particular recommendation came from the city of Homer and the city or in the borough, Kenai Peninsula Borough. They both have the same code language for what they appoint, or sorry, I cannot speak tonight. They both have the same code language for the vacation of an appointment of a commission member's appointment, and that is on page 7. If this looks good to the commission, then you could recommend it to the city council, and then they could review it at their next meeting. Or not the next meeting, because that's Monday, but the meeting after.
So does the commission have, does anybody have any feedback on the proposed change to the ordinance?
No. I did read in some of the other cities or examples that a 90-day absence out of the city would also be a reason. And having been gone that long myself this winter, I can see that would be kind of a good thing to have some sort of time limit on how long people are gone. I was gone for a little over 6 months, so I'm not sure what that time would be, but it does, you lose touch with what's going on in town. So I could see that could be another thing we could add.
Roger?
Yeah, but like last winter, we were down for 3 months, weren't we? Something like that. We didn't even have any, so, it was kind of,
Right.
yep. Were there any changes made here from what it was?
Victor, we did not have anything in our code that called for vacating of the terms of a commissioner. We have some for the council members, but there just was not any for the commissioners. So this is adding it to the current code.
And is this basically the same as what is in place for okay, good.
Through the chair, for the Kenai Peninsula Planning Commission, yes, this is what they have in place, and it was recommended that this is what we utilize.
Okay.
Any other comments? So would the commission members wish to recommend this to the city council?
Madam Chair, there is a spot there for public comments on it.
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure if anyone is wanting to comment.
Any comments from the public?
Does this, these terms coincide with the same ones that you have for our current council? Does it pretty much mimic that or?
Sorry, through the chair, those are a little bit different because they're elected.
Okay, thank you.
So would somebody like to propose a motion to provide a recommendation to the city council?
I would make a motion that we will adopt the terms as presented here to the city council.
And second? And a second, sorry.
Oh, you second it?
I didn't, I'm sorry, I was asking for it. I was communing with my button over here. So, Commissioner Foster here.
I'll second it.
And then we'll go ahead and do a roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Kroll?
Okay.
Yes. Commissioner Ryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Ryan says yes. Commissioner Sweet
Yes.
and Commissioner Forsberg?
Yes.
Okay, that's 4-0.
And then we'll go on to the next item, which is the discussion on Title 18 Commercial Business District Nightly Rentals. And I'd like to go ahead and have the staff give us an overview, and then we'll go on from there.
Yes, through the chair. So this is a discussion that started with the commission back in August of 2022, related to a concern that was brought up from a member of the public about the confusion and how convoluted some of the terminology for specifically for rentals and lodging were in commercial business district, as well as there is a section in this code that refers to recreational vehicles, because that was brought up by several other members of the community. So this was discussion began to try to kind of streamline the language for those activities in Title 18. And specifically tonight, the conversation is related to, let me pull it up here. Nightly rentals and commercial business. And if you look under, if I find my definitions here. Sorry, give me a minute. The commercial business district is in there. And then the ordinance, draft ordinance starts on page 52 of the packet. And then in your laydown, there is a revised draft ordinance that no longer changes the definition of lodge due to recent discussions. We don't want to penalize anybody who is working under a permitted use in the district at this time. But really the overarching discussion that I'm hoping we can get some input from is the definitions of motel, hotel, bed and breakfast, and lodge, and how to straighten those out. And whether they are or are not allowed in nightly, and cabin rentals. So we have a few different definitions that are similar, but different. And the first one that was pretty convoluted was the motel hotel, in that the question was hotel had 5 or more, hotel and lodge. Hotel had 5 or more and lodge had 5 or less. Can they both have that 5 number? Does one need to be 6? Which is the way it was amended in August when we started this discussion. And like I said, keeping lodge in as it's applicable now. Cabin rentals, should that still be in? And motel, should that still be in? And that'll be a great start to the conversation. There's also a definition for nightly rental that was included, because we did not have that included before. A definition for occupancy, which is, I believe, if I remember correctly, similar to the same definition that we have for occupancy in Title 13. So trying to cross-reference those definitions throughout the code. And then we also added in, under the purpose of the commercial business district, per discussion that we had at the last meeting and previous meetings, that it should further prohibit exclusive residential or industrial uses which would interfere with the development and continuation of its cohesive business purposes. And this is on page 21. Sorry for not clarifying that sooner. So purpose, it should prohibit exclusive residential or industrial uses which would interfere with the development and continuation of its cohesive business purposes. Second story or not more than 49% of a structure may be residential secondary use as an attached dwelling unit. And that is part of the discussion with the nightly rentals and residential use, and just how to promote the district overall, to encourage a compact group of businesses of the type which are mutually beneficial and located close enough together to encourage walk-in trade. I would just point out as well that the city did reach out to the Kenai Peninsula Economic Development District, and will continue reaching out to other resources to look into opportunities for exploring how to incentivize the use of that district and promote the use of the commercial business district, and how the city can do that more effectively. But overall, this conversation is how to protect the district and promote the business use in that district. And I'll leave it at that.
And then I have a question. So can we move to be a body of the whole so we can have a discussion? Would that be the?
Sure, if you guys would like to be the body of the whole. Yeah. A committee of the whole, sorry.
Committee
yes.
of the whole.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do is like have everybody be able to participate all at once. So we're having a discussion so that you can provide your feedback, because the goal of this is to make sure that the people who are in the business district, to make sure to get your feedback so that we have something that's going to meet your needs as well. So thank you for being here.
Very good.
And then I guess in order for this to kind of go in a orderly way, should we identify each item in terms of like hotels, motels, and so forth, or from your perspective, from the public's perspective, is there anything in particular that you would like to sort of bring to the conversation at the front end, so that might help guide our conversation on the specifics?
So, do I need to state my name or any of that kind of stuff? Okay. So, I'm Dawn Bodyfelt. I own the Harbor Inn and Central Suite. And this was actually, just brought to my attention, a couple days ago by other members of the community, that this is something that I should look at closely. We took ownership of the Harbor Inn in April of last year. And we have owned the Central Suites for 2 years now, as of April. And quite honestly, looking at this, I need a lot more time to be able to understand the changes. I think when I first read it, I understood that this was moving forward based on a Facebook post, which I don't follow normally, was that there was going to be clarification made to some of these, not changes and deletions, which to me is a completely different thing. And so I think, in my opinion, as a business owner, that people that are property owners within this district, or I don't know how you define it as a district, should definitely be involved and be made aware that there's going to be deletions and additions, not just clarification, because I think it's something completely different. And that needs to take some real time with people that are actually doing business within this community. And picking and choosing certain things out is only going to get everybody in trouble. Because you have to start at the beginning and you have to have an entire process and discussions during those processes, so that you don't inadvertently harm somebody who is currently producing a revenue, who is currently actively participating in business within this community. And during a time when it is probably my most busy time of the year. And so this has been a little hard for me, for sure. And I'm sure it was extremely unintentional. And I think that we need to step back, and this needs to be handled under a little bit different of a process from the beginning, followed through step by step, looking at everything, not picking and choosing 5 or 6 things in one meeting. And so that's kind of what, because I don't think you resolve anything. I think you create more confusion, because quite honestly, nothing's been clarified for me. I'm more confused than I was when I read the first one. And so I am a business owner. I do participate in this community. I pay taxes. I create a revenue for the city. And I think we need to have a better plan than picking and choosing a few things out of this to change. That's my take on things. And also, this shouldn't be happening during the busiest time of the season. I realized that, when did you say that it started?
August of 2022.
So August of 2022, and I'm pretty sure, how many meetings has there been since then? I mean, because that's the other thing I think we all need to be aware of, is that I wouldn't be able to afford to have businesses in this community if I didn't hold another job, and my husband didn't hold another job. So we are not here all the time. And so I can't attend all of the meetings, and I don't. And I realize now, actually, I always have, how important it is. But I also think we need to be very clear when we put something out to the public of what is actually being done. Clarifications or changes.
And through the chair, if I could just, for a point of clarification, answer that question. This is the 5th meeting since that time on this discussion. And that's maybe why it looks like it's a picking and choosing, is because we've talked about the whole thing multiple times and it's come down to these few items that were unresolved, so.
So in those 5 meetings, and I truly don't know the answer to this question. How many times has a commercial business owner been involved in these discussions?
I would say this is the first time, which is why we tried to really get the notice out, because it's important for us to have public input.
Okay, can I ask something off of this? How was it that those notices were sent out? Was it only Facebook or about this? I mean, was there like a letter sent out or? I'm just curious, not to put anybody on the spot. I want to know how it was, the information was disseminated to the people that it actually affects.
So information is disseminated from,
About, so how the people that these changes were actually affecting. How do you get the word out to them? Because like when you are trying to figure out how to change things, then you contact Kenai, you contact other cities and other municipalities. So how were the people that were in business notified, the people here in business notified? Is it just by looking on the website?
no, we have a regular procedure. We post at the post office, we post at the multipurpose building, we post at the city office, it's on the website.
So it's not like we send out notices to business owners if they weren't here in town to be able to see those notices?
Not in this instance, we would do that for a vacation or a conditional use
That
or,
might be something that in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe needs to be thought about. I mean, there are months of time when we are not here
Mhm.
in town, and so. We went, and the other thing is the posting, as I read it, was the same thing. It was clarification. Not changes, and I only read one.
Yeah.
And it was a Facebook post, and so this is not to blame or to point fingers at anybody. It's just, I will be more aware moving
Mhm.
forward. No question about it. But
So through the chair for another point of clarification, thank you so much, Ms. Bodyfelt, for bringing that to our attention. We definitely want to always be working to improve our processes. I would say that the Facebook post, and maybe that wasn't the intent of the Facebook post, and maybe that was not the way it was interpreted, was to have an all-around discussion about nightly rentals in commercial business district, which is part of that hotel, motel, lodge, the definition of nightly rentals, because that really is the crux of the discussion is how do we promote the business district with or without nightly rentals. At this point, they are only a secondary use, which means you would not be permitted to run a nightly rental out of a building in the commercial business district unless it fell under a hotel or motel or lodge. And then with that in mind as well, that, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. So is there room for that, the nightly rentals to be a permitted use, or do the nightly rentals that would fall in that district fall under motel, hotel, lodge? I mean, that's the fact finding mission right now is does the public, does the district want to see that nightly rentals stay a secondary use? And then do those definitions meet the needs of the district? And I understand if you haven't had enough time to review, and we can have this discussion as many times as we need. That's one of the fun things about the commission is they can talk for same topics for years if needed in order to really be able to helpfully streamline the process and make it so that it is beneficial to everybody involved. So I'm so sorry that this is last minute for you. And I really appreciate you bringing that forward.
so can somebody it seems as though the focus is only on the nightly rentals. Is there a reason why the focus is only on the nightly rentals?
Yes, the focus is on nightly rentals because it was brought to our attention last summer that there was some confusion and people purchasing buildings and what they could and couldn't allow, and specifically that language in hotel and lodge with a 6 and, or not 6, 6 to 5 and a 5. And that there's, 3 different definitions for similar things. So, how do we make that so it's more understandable?
Mhm.
And the solution was to streamline those definitions by omitting some and adding to some so that it would better fit the model of the current model of secondary use, which is that you wouldn't have a nightly rental, you wouldn't have like an apartment, a two building apartment, or a single building, and just have really like a residence. You wouldn't build a residence in the district and operate it as a nightly rental and have that be its sole purpose. But that doesn't mean it has to be that way. I think that there's just from what I've heard from other council members and from other members of the public is just this arching desire to really protect the district and make sure that we are promoting business and not just living quarters.
Okay. So I guess coming from a business owner's standpoint, that's extremely frustrating to me, because I have invested in this community. And I am sitting here right now doing something that I shouldn't be doing in my mind. I should be getting my businesses ready to operate. Yet there is several businesses that are not operational, that are not maintained, that are in the same category as I am theoretically. And yet the focus isn't there. The focus is on this, people that are actually producing something within this community and improving something in this community. And I don't want to point fingers and I agree that maybe this needs to be gone through to clarify, but why are we worried about clarifying at this point instead of dealing with situations that aren't beneficial in any way to the community, the city, but we're focusing on this instead. And so there's a few things here that kind of get hard to swallow, and it isn't any person. It's just, I think maybe the focus is sort of in the middle of things rather than maybe what needs to happen is we need to get the whole house in order before we start changing things.
Thank you. If I may, just one more, and then I will let it revert back to you guys, just because I am the one that brought this forward. So if you don't mind, through the chair, I again appreciate that. If you're speaking to vacancies and other things in the district, that is something that is actually in the process, but this process started first, so it it's getting too broad and right. There's so much, so we
Yep.
can only take so many things at one time.
Right.
And I would love to hear more from you, and we can meet at another time or now on what you would like to see come first, because it's
Yeah,
definitely.
I don't think that's my position, or that's fair to anybody to do that. It's just my opinion that based on what is currently being focused on, it just seems to me that maybe it needs to be stepped back a little bit. But like I said, I haven't looked at it a whole lot, and this is because it directly affects me. And I think it's important that you look at the whole picture of how everything affects everybody that is in this specific district, not just me. I mean, I'm here because this was going to impact my business substantially. So, yeah, and I appreciate the work that was done before. But in all fairness, I also think that 5 meetings, to change all of what has been changed here, with no commercial property owner being present, which is no fault of anybody's here. It's the commercial property owner's fault for not being here. Makes for issues for sure. And that is no fault of anybody here by any means, but maybe we'll change my way of doing business for sure.
Recognize, this just says,
Thanks, Randy. I'm totally on board with where Don's coming from. As a real estate broker, I'm dealing with the sale of properties and wanting these definitions to be super clear. It's really important because the last thing I want is to have a property that I help someone buy, find out that, oh no, they can't do what they propose to do, right? That's horrifying to me. That is horrifying. People invest a lot of money. We do our due diligence. We say, okay, this looks good. These things are good or solid. And to have somebody pull back a curtain and say, oh no, because someone doesn't like it or whatever, that's fine. But I'm with Dawn in the sense that there's 30 properties that are commercial business. It's not a 500 property group of people. That I think it's beneficial to you to hear from those individuals, and a letter could go out if you're specifically working on a zone and say, hey, your zoning is important. I texted 5 people or so today that are in that zone and said, hey, are you aware there's a meeting? Because their voice is important, and I know you guys want to hear it. I've been on B&Z, and you're up here going and trying to make decisions and no one tells you what they think. So where are you going to go? You need help. You need input. It's very valuable. Besides respecting their opinions and the fact that they've invested here, it's valuable to you as you make decisions. So I think that would be a really good consideration moving forward when you're affecting a specific zone to say, hey, this is on the agenda. Give people fair warning. Like you said, for variances and things, letters go out to everyone within 500 feet. If there's a change in that area that might affect that. And that's just a good consideration. So, and I think what we're talking about in commercial business is business. And lodging is business. It is. And it's significant. And if we're speaking specifically to Don's properties, very significant. And it's hard for me to imagine that we would do anything as a city to detract from her success, ever.
Well, and I don't think it's just about, I guess I want to keep it away from just about me.
I
It's
know, but you are here and we're talking about this, and you are one of quite a few. I wrote down here, there's 10 properties that are running businesses on these properties, that their voice matters. They're spending good money to run their business, operate their business, hire employees, all of that. And as a city, we should really, really do everything we can to help them succeed here. We don't have 10,000 people driving by Seldovia every day to fill up our businesses. We don't. Everyone's on a destination deal. And we need to really do our best to not curtail success, but lift it up. And I know that that's what you want. I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying this kind of a feeling makes you feel like you're not wanted in a business to succeed. And that's not a good thing. So I guess my suggestion would be to, and I hate to say this because I've been on P&Z where you table something till the next meeting. I hate that. But I also feel like maybe there's an opportunity here to reach out to those people, do a workshop and say, hey, let's talk about these things in a different forum and hash it out with the people that are seriously affected by it. I think that would be valuable. I think that if you had invited her 5 months ago, she would have been here. She would have figured it out. I hate to focus on you again. But I mean, I know that's true. I know that's true. So that would be my recommendation. And I really do want to be clear. And I am maybe part of this problem because I've talked to her and say, well, what does this mean? Because you've got this 5 or more or 5 or less. I mean, which one is it? You know, and I'm just talking about that specifically, but there's lots of areas where there's ambiguity and that causes confusion. So I love that you're doing it and we want to help. I guess that's all.
And I think this is Dawn for the recorded version, but I think that another focus that is hard to kind of grasp is that our economy has changed tremendously. And what was good and worked 10 years ago isn't maybe necessarily what is good and works well now. And then when you have to go and change all of that, it's hard. I get that. But you do really have to step back and look at what are people doing? Because if you have a gift shop for a hobby, that's different than when you have a gift shop that you are trying to pay a mortgage, you are trying to pay all of the other bills that come along with that. And so for myself, when I have a mortgage, which is something that I chose to do, to buy a business, have a mortgage within this community, I have to do what is best to be able to pay those bills. So if I opened some gift shop or something like that, I can assure you that first of all, I don't believe that anymore that there is room for 5 or 6 gift shops. I think you take away business from one instead of the other. So then you try to figure out what you can do to build within this community. And what I see as a business owner is that the people that are coming to this town are coming to go fishing, they're coming to go hiking and biking, and that's what they want to do. And when they do that, what they need is a place to stay. We've lost some restaurants, so places to stay with kitchens are pretty important for some people. It's just a different economy now. And if you want, I mean, there's a lot of vacant businesses, and it's probably not because those people want to have vacant properties. It's probably because they can't afford to operate. And so if you have a business district that you're trying to promote, I think we should be trying to find ways to promote businesses rather than make it so that they can't conduct business. And I don't think that probably that was the intention at the beginning of any of this. But until you get a group of people together that truly live it every day, I don't think anybody knows all the little things that are going on. And I don't think it's fair to Heidi that she gets different people all the time coming into her office with their concerns, because those people should get together in a group so that they can all understand each other's point of view in a positive way, rather than I'm just annoyed and so I'm going to talk to Heidi. That's pretty unfair and completely unreasonable for her to be able to, or any city manager for that matter, to be able to fix it. You have to talk as a community. And so lesson learned, here I am. And here we'll be, hopefully, because I really do hope that we table some of this until we can get more business owners involved in the process of speaking to the things that truly affect them, not just the things that truly affect me, being a nightly rental situation. I mean, there's lots more in this than just that. And there just is. And simplifying things is great. Adding more words is not great. That's my piece.
So, just kind of want to think a little bit about, so where are we, given kind of the feedback that we've gotten, then, what are the opportunities for what could we, what could we do today that might be helpful? So, and I'm just gonna sort of blue sky it, and then we can kind of circle back. But one of the things I heard is getting more people together. The timing of the year is not good right now. So what I'm kind of hearing, that maybe a more in-depth, purposeful discussion with the business district where we're owners would be a really good idea, and to have it at a time where people could focus their attention on that. That would be.
Work groups, I mean, so actually work groups is that what you've been
Right.
doing
And
with this?
we actually, this was kind of the start of that, to actually ask, because we wanted the public to come to talk, so that whatever's decided is something that's going to work for the business district. This isn't meant to be shoving anything down anybody's throat. This is meant to figure it out together, so that whatever we do, it helps people be successful. And then we figure out ways of promoting the business district, so both the business owners and the community can be successful. I mean, and so it's just trying to figure that out. And then, like, Heidi reached out to the economic development folks, because it's like, well, what can we do given this, given the economy, given what's going on? What kinds of things could we do, or are there resources that are external to Seldovia that could help with growing our economy? I don't know
Right, which I think are two totally
Right.
separate things.
Right. I mean, it's more like there's the strategic planning part of it, and then there's the specifics that's to
I've also been in work groups, because I worked for the state for years and years, and I know that those are kind of like tabling meetings, like, oh my goodness, another work group. But maybe one with a specific purpose to move things along in a relatively quick manner.
Through the chair, if I may, just to clarify that at the last meeting that I think that's what Chair Sweet is trying to say, is actually this meeting was supposed to be that work session, but we had other business that came up that is being taken care of at the same time. And so I think I'll leave that up to you guys, but I know that was the desire of the commission at the last meeting, was to have this big work session that included council and members of the community. And it ended up being sidelined a little bit, but we did discuss this, me and Chair Sweet, that while this discussion may not be the full discussion that I think the commission was hoping for, we can still continue, and then hopefully be able to plan a more opportune time. So if I may ask, what would be a good time, do you think, for businesses? I know that summer's busy, but people are here.
Right. So I'm gonna say right after summer is over, is probably, before people start being, but I can't speak to that. However, I will be at the next one, whether it's on the TV or, for sure. To have enough input, but right now is. And also under work groups, that is the specific people, or then is it just everybody can join?
Everybody can join. It's a specific topic. So it would be commercial business district, and that would be.
So I guess what I would ask too many people are sometimes not super helpful either.
So perhaps there could be a subcommittee appointed to do what you're talking about, and then it could bring it back to the commission. So with that,
That, right there, can we do that?
Yeah, I have something to add to that. I hear you saying you want just business owners present, and I disagree with that wholeheartedly. This process affects everybody that's in the city, so it shouldn't be just exclusively business owners coming up with
I was,
that.
actually, it was never business owners only, just at least a couple of us. I guess I am really sorry if I made it sound like it was business owners only.
No, but
and then
through the
I'd
chair.
like to, if 1 second, I'd like to, Yeah. so what I'd like to do is, Roger had asked, was next in line, and then John, and then Liz.
Yeah, all I had to say was, we were just looking for ideas, I believe, this meeting, that's all. I don't think we're gonna vote on anything, will we? So. More ideas. More plans.
So maybe
Thank
I
you.
misunderstood that as well. I thought this was going to the next step after this. I didn't think this wasn't presenting this idea.
It was supposed to be originally a work session and then now it's a meeting, but it was supposed to be a fact gathering work session. So now it's in a meeting land, but it can definitely still be a work session in the future.
So these changes weren't, that had already been made through, the city and the commission.
The-
Those weren't,
These,
those were just ideas.
these are just discussion items, proposals. Yeah. That's what we've been discussing for the last 5 months, and they've been changing over those last 5 meetings as the discussions happened. Because it's a working document. And then when it comes to a final document, then the commission would move to refer that to or move to recommend it to the city council. And then from my history with the planning commission and council, because I did go through a similar process with the commercial business district when it changed from commercial marine to commercial business. And I think that was FY19. I'll have to double check those dates. Then the council will go through potentially a whole process as well with multiple meetings and work sessions, depending on how that first reading of the ordinance goes. So it's a long process.
Right.
John?
Yeah, sure. I just have a little bit to say, was as a business owner and a property owner in the district. For 4 years, and families found it very difficult to make money here. Because the business opportunity for us as a restaurant is very narrow. And we tried to run a business for 2 years, with an open year round, and people in the community supported us as much as they could. But there's just not enough people here to pay the overhead. That 5,300 square foot building. And I would want to see anything be added to this code that would make any building on that front street more restrictive to businesses in this community. I don't think it benefits any of us. And talking about business was very different in January of 2020 when we opened the doors there to what it is today. Food costs are double, heating oil and everything else is double. So it's made it a lot more difficult. And our business window here is 6 weeks. I think we need to spend some time finding a way to increase the opportunity for us to have more business rather than restrict what business we have. I just feel it disheartens me this possibly that, my situation is very different than Dawn. Well, we do have two apartments upstairs. And, we purchased that building with the full intention of someday being able to rent those in whatever fashion we need to rent them to survive. And if you restrict that for us, I don't see any reason for us to. You know, and the same applies to the rest of the business owners on the street. If you want to try to put a group together, I guarantee I'll be there with Dawn. We can see if we can get Stephanie to attend. We can get Anthony Stovall, the new property owner, the liquor store. He was supposed to be in town this week. And whoever else is the Campbells, we can get them there. But I don't think creating more restrictions or limiting anybody in our current environment is going to help any of us in the body. Okay. And that's all.
When I was looking at what we're trying to do, I don't think anything was being more restrictive. It was, like we said before, kind of clarifying what the intent. I mean, it was already in the code when you bought the property. But I agree that we shouldn't try to restrict businesses other than a business. You know, we don't want to have just a bedroom community. That's not really a business. Yeah. But I've got looking at this, and if we are going to take more time on looking at our whole situation, I mean, the whole zoning to me has some issues. As I look through it, it could be simplified, and I got some proposals along that line that I think would be good. Just make it easier, like you're saying, this so you look at all these categories and you go, like, what's the difference between them? And there's not a whole lot in some cases. So like merging them together, neighborhoods, there's red on one side of the street and pink on the other. Like, let's make it on both sides of the street the same. Like, there's ways to make our community work a little better. I think if we open up the door and play with it, but then it takes time and process, you know. So anyhow, that's my 2 cents in there.
Commissioner Forsberg.
Yeah, another thing, this is an old town, so it's gone through some big changes, you know. I mean, back in the old days, you know, you could do just about anything you want. So, you know, that's some of the reasons why it's so complicated. It just added here, subtract there, you know, everything from property lines to streets. Yeah, to streets, you know, so. Yeah, to make it simpler, yes. That's definitely would be a plus.
This is Dawn again. I just want I guess it to be really clear that the reason that I'm here and that I am probably a little stressed is until Heidi changed some wording, the things that were changed within that code, the definitions would make it so that I could not operate my business how I am currently operating it. And so it was extremely restrictive and would have made a very large change for me. So that is why I am here. So whether that was the intent or not, I mean, that is, there was a change made that would have made my business definitely be different.
And through the chair, if I could just respond to that, thank you for bringing that up, because there was the language in there, and the restriction was, the intent was for residential use, not for commercial use, and for being able to continue, you know, for future development, not building residential uses. We've had a history, talk about history, Commissioner Forsberg, and this town of people getting permits and building things for a commercial business purpose, and then turning around very recently afterwards and saying, well, it's now a residential purpose because it was built in line of that. with that kind of intent and structure in place. So it's great to hear, and I hope I'm not overstepping, Commission, but it is great to hear both sides to the story, because even though we're trying to prevent a bedroom district or, and promote business, there are obviously impacts that weren't considered in that would affect business. So, sorry, I was.
I know it's probably going long, but I have another question. So it sounds like that there is some concern about there being too many nightly rentals. Is part of a bedroom district. What do you mean by bedroom district? Yeah.
I mean, if the
concern
business is just people staying in hotels, I mean, if that's all our business is, then it's not as vibrant of a community as we're hoping to have, which is why some of that situation is that way.
So, to give you some perspective on what I think about that is that how you get people here is to give them good accommodations for when they come here to stay. And a majority of the people that come to stay with me are coming here to participate in the activities that the community puts on. And if there isn't appropriate and plenty of nice lodging, it's probably going to make it so they don't come here. And so I think that that's a very positive thing within a community, is to add good lodging for them that has, that brings people to the community to participate in the community for more than just a day trip. And that, I guess, leads to my next question is, how many rooms did we used to have when the old grocery store was there? I mean, those all are gone now. Was it 13 the old grocery store had?
If you're asking me, I'm not sure, but that was when I speak of bedroom district, I mean individuals buying property in a district, it doesn't matter, but Main Street is the one, or commercial businesses we're talking about. And then either leaving them vacant and then just coming to visit for 2 weeks and staying in them, or living in them long-term instead of from having a business purpose.
Which is what I understood.
Yeah.
So I think it's two different things.
Yeah.
Some people are concerned that there would be too many hotels on the front of the waterfront, and some people are concerned that there would be people that built a hotel or a lodging facility and then just utilized it for a couple of weeks, but didn't utilize it for the rest of the time. Therefore, they wouldn't be creating any revenue. So so when you say bedroom district and when others say bedroom district, maybe it's two different things. Is that right?
I guess, I'd like to ask, in the things that are in the ordinance currently, is there anything that needs to be clarified sooner than later that may have that anyone has input on? So there, because I guess we were gonna talk about all these different categories, and I understand that there are things in here now that are confusing. And so is there anything that's very concise that could be fixed, or should we just leave it and then move forward? Because I'm trying to take in what we've talked about and get feedback on. So now that we're here and we've had the feedback that we've had, what would be a good way to go forward? I mean, we have the idea of having a subcommittee to really go through and look at the business district. So I guess that would be looking at the business district ordinance. Is that's kind of the area of interest and to have that group that you were talking about. So that's one thing that has come out of the discussion. And then there's the need for, and then I guess that would be the first step, and then that would provide input into the further development of the ordinance and then recommendation to the city council. Is that kind of, and I just like to get feedback from like, Roger, do you have any feedback on like kind of the way we would go forward?
I think we need more input,
Okay,
obviously. Obviously, we need more input. And like, I just say, there's no big hurry.
no,
Do it right. If we can get it done right, that's why we wanted everybody to
come,
give us the feedback.
yes,
I don't have a nickel into it.
Yeah.
I'm a president. Yeah, I'm sure we can figure it out.
yeah,
Yeah, just for the record, I'm not participating in the committee or discussions on this because I have potential conflicts of interest and competing ideas. I'm near or in the business district. I was born here. I don't have a mortgage yet, but do have a small shop.
Allison, did you have?
Well, I looked through this and because it was very confusing for me, it has always been, even though I have a history with the federal government. So I'm used to this bureaucratic stuff. I don't understand why we have dwelling unit, attached residential, limited to one unit, and then another category where you have more than one unit. And why don't we just have just one of those instead of two? It seems to add to the confusion, I guess. And then maybe there's a good reason. And it's kind of the hotel and lodge is basically, we're saying we don't want to see larger scale versus smaller scale. That's a similar thing. Why do we need two categories? But in that, like if somebody was proposing a, big resort kind of, things are really close to the 5 or 6. There's not a whole lot. Maybe, I don't know what the boardwalk has as far as rooms. Okay, so they're much bigger, but and the Central Suites doesn't have all that many, and the other new property also. Things are pretty much smaller. So to try and simplify things, get rid of some of these categories, because it does kind of get mind-boggling after a while. And categories like that and number of zoning districts. I mean, I'm more of a grouper, I guess. People are splitters or groupers.
If I had dogs, units, most of them, they've got kitchens in them,
Every one of them.
all of them, and these affect her, especially when a lot of the other places in town go. When you spend a trip to know, we want to be Iditarod. And if you think we can afford to buy meals out every day for the 7 days we were there, if we didn't have one of those units, we probably wouldn't have there. And those type of units generally are the type nice. So I just don't think Byfield's have done a good job in this community. They're working hard. They've got some businesses here, and I don't think we should be restricting them. It should be opening doors for all of us to be able to prosper and do that. And it needs to be a lot less confusing for Ms. Chidley as well, because she kept a lot of grief from a lot of people like me over the years. And like I said, at some point, we'd like to be able to do something with ours as well. So, but that's the big difference between some of the other towns.
And I
Thank you.
Right, do absolutely agree that, I mean, that is part of the problem, is that there's too many definitions that sort of mean the same thing, but not quite. And if you just change one word, it has the potential to have huge ramifications. And so I too work for the government, and so yes, I know how this goes, and how quickly good intentions can turn really bad. So that's, yeah. I think less is, back to what I said earlier, less is always better, in my opinion.
And this is just this.
I just want to say that for me, when I'm working with people looking at property, the definition of a business is, if someone's running a business, I mean, unless it's illegal or something, I mean, we should be promoting it and offering it up into the commercial business district. The caveat to that is, if someone says, well, I'm just gonna, have 2 rentals. And maybe I'll rent them, maybe I won't. I mean, they're not really running a business. That's the challenge, right? They're just gonna live there and their family's gonna come visit. And so I always talk to people about their intent. What's your intent? If you're trying to skirt the rules, that's no good, right? We want people to have a business. Whether it's Dawn businesses or John's business or, they're running businesses in the commercial business district. There really shouldn't be a whole lot of rules about that. That's just my opinion. They're not. Yeah, I just feel we really need to support business development of all kinds and encourage new business to come in, as opposed to getting comments like, well, it's really hard to do business and so we don't want that. We do not want that. So.
And I also want to clarify that Heidi did, after meeting with her, and thank you for the open door policy as Dawn was having a heart attack. So what she changed back resolved my specific issue, but that still doesn't. So my issue has been resolved theoretically.
But they are still just all proposals and we should,
Right.
lots of discussion on it.
That was, yeah, so that I was incorrect in understanding that. So.
So, I wonder if, given the discussion that we've had, then if, I'm not sure what the proper form, proper proposal is, but, should we go ahead and just form the subcommittee of the,
I believe you would make a motion to refer to a subcommittee, and then the city office could go through a process where we request letters of interest for the subcommittee. So you guys could decide if you have a limit on members, probably not necessary for this. It's however many want to join, unless it gets too crazy, and then we can come back to it. And then we could pursue from there. But I can do more fact finding on that, because it's been a hot minute since I've gone through this process.
okay, so what I'll do is I'm gonna make a motion for to approve subcommittee focused on, because it's really focused on the business district ordinance as a
The commercial business
the
district.
commercial business district, and then if you have anything to add, once we vote, I guess we can, or once we make the motion, if there's anything else before we vote on it, we can open it to any discussion on moving forward with that.
Or, sorry, just a second thought, you could also appoint people, but it doesn't seem like that would be appropriate at this time, because it'd be nice to know who has interest. Yeah,
And I think it's super important that you have both sides of this.
yeah,
I mean, that
So-
is the problem that I think that you see a lot. is
Yeah.
You gotta have both sides.
so maybe,
So if we just move to have a committee and then people submit letters of interest and then it can move forward.
yeah, we could come back if we needed to have further discussion on it.
Because I guess you'd want to,
We would actually come back to appoint members, and then because they have letters of interest, that
Okay.
discussion would come back, and that may actually go to the council realm, which is where I'm sorry, I don't have a clear answer on that, but I will if you guys start the process of having committee, I can let everybody know what that
Okay.
process is
and
afterwards.
then I think it's just making sure that we're clear about what we're asking people so that when the letters go out, that they're clear. So that may take another discussion, but just so we get this started and then the timing of it would be after the summer, given the feedback that we've had. Is that okay? So
It would certainly be helpful, but that's just me. So I will make it happen however it needs to happen.
and I think we're not, it's not time sensitive. I mean, I think it's important, but it's not a crisis. It's just something, but I think we need to have the time to be able to discuss it in a way that's productive and gets the result that everybody wants. And so.
Yep.
Okay, so if somebody could make a motion to establish a subcommittee to evaluate the business district ordinance.
I guess I can make that motion, but like with this open meeting, whatever format, does that mean
So
it's
I'm gonna-
open?
Sorry,
and-
I should probably close it, sort of go back to going back from the committee of the whole to back to a regular meeting. Thank
Oh,
you.
okay.
So we're back into the meeting and then, so I would like to, this is, Randy Sweet, I would like to I would like to ask for a motion to establish a subcommittee to evaluate the business district ordinance.
Okay, I will make a motion to establish a subcommittee to focus on the commercial business district. I guess language, I guess is what we're doing, right? Yeah.
Second it.
So, and then, Liz, could you, do a roll call vote?
Sure, we have, our motion is to establish and focus a subcommittee on the commercial business district. Commissioner Kroll, will you be voting? Oh, you're
Abstaining.
okay. Commissioner Rain,
It's Ryan.
Ryan, sorry.
But yes, I will.
Commissioner Sweet,
Yes.
Commissioner Forsberg.
Yep.
Okay, so we have 3 pass, 1 excuse. Motion passes.
Okay, and then we'll continue with the remaining agenda items. Are there any staff reports?
I would just like to add, out of this conversation that it is on our vision board at the city office that, we'll include it in our next capital improvement plan. So this is before this discussion, but it ties in nicely that we want to include in our next, as a recommendation to council in our next, capital improvement plan. And then potentially for upcoming grant work to look into, receiving funding that would, do a whole review and overview of the comprehensive plan and the zoning code. There's a few other communities that are doing that hand in hand, and that seems to work really well because you have that comprehensive plan moving forward that ties back into your zones and how you are strategically moving forward. And I know that I've heard that from the council over the last several years, and from the commission that there's definitely potential to work on what we have for zoning right now. And it's kind of a big task for a small group of
Do you have
individuals.
a date that you need that by then this would to get that done for?
The capital improvement plan, we're gonna start working on it in August before we've been really far behind and up to the deadline of like the February. We try to get it done prior to our legislative requests, our capital projects. And we've been like up to the deadline. So it's on the calendar to start the process in August, hopefully get it passed by December. And then when the next legislative priorities request comes open, we have those requests available. Those priorities ready.
And the next agenda item is informational items not requiring action. No. Any additional comments from the public?
First off, I appreciate you folks being here and listening to us and the job you do every day. As a council member, right, well, sometimes it can be tough to get put on the spot. That's some suggestions I have, and I've discussed them with Heidi, and this commercial business district is kind of difficult in Seldovia because as with most of Alaska, over the last 50 years, it's truly been the Wild West, and there's been no zoning ordinances or any, rules to follow, and as the borough has grown here and the communities begin to put ordinances in places, we find ourselves with the business district like we have here, that if it was an established community, we probably wouldn't have it in the lower 48. Okay, and what I mean by that is we can just go down the business district here and look at all of the buildings that are included in it. And better than 50% of them were built with residential intent, but now they're in a business district. And so really the only way you're going to solve that problem, you're going to have to grandfather some in, but the only way we're going to solve that problem is upon building permit request. You're going to have to have some type of plan review and some way of holding people to that plan. If you expect to restrict the business district to just that kind of, because if we go just past the pavilion, all of those places are homes. They're literally homes. It's not any fault of any of us in this world, but there needs to be something. I built a house in Northern California in 2000, and I had to have the plans submitted to the planning department before I could even get one. And then once the building was built, I had to wait a month for them to give me an occupancy permit before I could even get in there. After I paid. So, I don't like the restrictions either, but just handing somebody a permit for $100 and not seeing the plans is what they're making the decision. So, there's gonna have to be something, to mediate that down the road, whether it be on change of sale, when the property's sold, that the new owner, understands, the restrictions for that zone, or whether it be on new construction for that zone. I think that's where it's gonna have to be fixed.
Any other comments from the public?
I just wanted to say thank you to Heidi, especially because I went in there and bent her ear, and she's always super willing to receive me and hear me out. And I appreciate that. I think that's what makes things work, is being open to that. So thank you, Heidi, for that. I appreciate it.
And any comments from the commission?
Yeah, I'd like to say thanks really for all your participation. I'm just kind of shaking my head at the whole subcommittee idea, just because it's been pulling teeth just to get 4 members, of which we'll have 5 on the planning commission. And how are we going to drum up more people? So help us get those people, I guess, for the subcommittee.
And there's plenty of chairs, empty chairs here. We could use more members. We invite everybody. I've been on it for quite a while. And it's, it's interesting, try to solve our problems.
Thank you to everybody. I think it's really good to be able to get things out and talk about them and then figure out a way forward and know that, we all have each other's backs and we want to make this work. So thank you. The next meeting is going to be on June 7th, 2023. And with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
We do need a motion to adjourn.
Sorry.
We need a motion
yeah.
to adjourn. Second.
Oh, shucky darn. Can I have a motion to adjourn? I guess I was anticipating it with.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that.
And can I have a roll call? You don't need a roll call. All right.